So we're lying there naked as people are in these situations. And I'm feeling really relaxed. But I'm also feeling kind of excited because there's something happening here. Now, I'm not going to say that I was falling in love with this guy, because who knows, but maybe. But there was definitely something I would call warmth, maybe affirmation. This whole, I'm a young woman just out of college and I can conquer life thing, this might actually work. So it was the mid-90s, I was in my early 20s, and I was living in New York City. And despite my parents' worst fears, I was kind of making it work. Now granted, I had the luxury of moving to New York City with a slew of friends from college, because we were theater majors, and that's what you do when you're a theater major, you move to New York City, right? And one of my friends from college, Dan Goldowski, was a roommate in college and was now also a roommate in New York. And Dan and I lorded over this 3-bedroom glorified closet in Hell's Kitchen. And I think that actually one of the bedrooms had 3 beds in it. So if you do the math, that's just way too many people. I think it was a 5-floor walk-up, which is actually illegal. So Dan had all these friends from camp. And he actually had 2 solid sets of camp friends. And I think looking back, they actually, like each group, they all had the same name. So there's an Adam in both groups, and a Jeff in both groups, and a Dave in both, right? So any given week or month, one of Dan's camp friends might have been crashing on our couch as he moved to New York to make his way in the world. So this month, Adam Goldstein was crashing on our couch. Now, as a sidebar to this story is an excerpt from a book I'm working on with a friend of mine named Eric Ratnoff, who is white and Jewish. And when I said, so the process that we're using is that he interviews me and I babble, and then he pulls like a story out of everything I just vomited on him. So I got to the Adam Goldstein part, and he was like, wait, where was Adam Goldstein from? And I'm like, New Jersey? He's like, wait, where do you go to school? I'm like, and he's like, so he was really scared that I had slept with his Adam Goldstein. So we figured it out that it was not his Adam Goldstein, but then he thought he knew another Adam Goldstein, but it was David Goldstein. So the point of that is that I could change his name or I could not change his name, but we all know an Adam Goldstein, and this is not your Adam Goldstein, okay? So I was pretty much prepared for all the things about New York City that are totally the opposite of metropolitan St. Louis. So the taxis, the subways, that stinky trash smell that happens in the summer that you can't, right? Like, what is that? But the one thing that kept throwing me for a loop was growing up city was like putting on jungle camouflage and disappearing into the brush, right? You know, they've seen somebody that looks like you probably 10 minutes ago. So young, striving black woman making it, you know, so what? There's 500,000 of you, right? So not only was this sort of a reprieve from this anxiety that I always had, that I put on myself, it was also sort of an affirmation of something that I'd always believed. I was not black first. I was Nicole first. And most of the people I interacted with in New York, so I thought, felt the same way. So you're with me here, like, I'm lying naked in bed, there's this guy who I'm kind of connecting with, it feels good, I'm feeling affirmed, I'm feeling like confident, like, yeah. If I could visualize the feeling at that moment, I think I would describe it as me traipsing through a field of tulips, wearing a sundress, I'm probably barefoot, the grass feels cool under my feet and the rocks, and the sun's beating down on my shoulders, and I'm like, yes, I can do anything, I'm in New York, I'm Nicole first, I can date anybody, yeah. And then the brick wall, never saw it coming. So like, yeah, I'm never like gonna bring you home and introduce you to my parents, because like, they'd be like, no way. Now, these aren't the exact words that came from this particular Adam Goldstein's mouth. However, that was the brick wall sentiment. And he didn't say it in a mean way. It was like he was reading the weather out of the newspaper. Like, yeah, so today the sun's gonna come up and the sky's gonna be blue, yeah, you know. And it wasn't like we were in the middle of this conversation about, where's this relationship going? What does this mean? It was just sort of out of nowhere. So intellectually, I knew this had nothing to do with me. But emotionally, I'm sitting here trying to deal with the 2 realities lying naked here in bed with me. So you care about me, and you feel a connection to me, but you just said that. And he didn't get why it was a big deal to me. He didn't mean anything by it. You know, he was just kind of, and he didn't understand why I was trying to equate what he had said with how he may or may not feel about me. So intellectually, I knew that I had no control over what was going on inside of his head. Like, part of it is the male-female dynamic. And, part of it, here's this, Jewish boy from New Jersey who probably never thought he'd end up naked in bed with a black girl. Like, he probably thought about ending up in bed with a non-Jewish girl, but see, even then, before I wasn't Jewish, I was black. But emotionally, not only did I feel like I could control it, I feel like I had a responsibility to control it. If I could just be prettier, if I could just be smarter, if I could just be that much more awesome, I would not be having this conversation. I would not be lying here naked next to this person saying this to me. I would still be traipsing through that field of tulips. Intellectually, I knew this had nothing to do with me. But emotionally, the gut punch was still this. Just in case you thought that you could put your blackness aside, just in case you thought that you could live a life that you were so special that this stuff didn't matter, this stuff really freaking matters. It matters in a matter-of-fact, deep to the core way to people you care a lot about and to people who care a lot about you. It matters. And to some people, it's an impenetrable truth. It's always there. I hold no ill will against Adam Goldstein. In fact, we're Facebook friends. On his birthday, I wish him happy Facebook birthday, what's up? But as you can imagine, that was the end of the relationship between Adam and I. And then, of course, he married an Asian girl.